So, first of all, good morning to all the panelists present here,
Morning.
and welcome to the last session of Solh Fiesta. As we move ahead into the month and continue our conversations on mental health, we can't leave behind the people who are the backbone of the field of psychology and have been working so hard to making mental health the universal human right that we want it to be. And so, in line with that, the last session is based on the topic problems faced by mental health experts. And to talk about this more, we have been joined by three lovely panelists who have been working in the field for many, many years. So I would just begin by introducing all of them. First off, we have Miss Suchita Thakkar, who is an experienced mental health professional and has been working in the field for many years. She has an experience in the area of teaching for over 20 years, and for the last 8 years, she has been working in the field. So it is lovely to be joined by you, Miss Suchita.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have Miss Geetika Kapoor. Miss Geetika Kapoor is the founder and director of Ed Essential, which has an aim to bring science of education and behavior to school managements, administrators, teachers, and parents. Her primary training is in the field of school psychology from the US, and she holds the title of Nationally Certified School Psychologist. She has also acquired the title of a board certified behavior analyst and has upgraded her skills in behavior analysis, precision teaching, and content analysis for academic curriculums. Ms. Kapoor is also registered as a rehabilitation professional in the National Register of Rehabilitation Council of India and extends educational and psychological therapy to children in both school as well as clinical settings. So, Ms. Geetika, it is lovely to be joined by you as well.
Thank you.
And last but definitely not the least, we have Dr. Mayurika Das. Dr. Mayurika is a clinical psychologist and mental health advocate with over 15 years of experience. She is actively involved in psychoeducation and regularly uploads content through her YouTube channel, Your Survival Model. She also teaches psychology and psychotherapy, whereby she has worked at hospitals, rehabilitation centers, colleges, and NGOs. She has extensive experience of working with adolescents, couples, addicts, and corporates. She has also designed and delivered training programs for schools and corporates. Her articles are frequently published in Hindi newspapers. So, Dr. Mayurika, I would welcome you as well.
Thank you.
And yeah, so now that we're familiar with all of our panelists, I would like to begin the discussion on the problems that are faced by our mental health professionals in today's world. And so, my first question to all of you would be, according to you, what is the biggest problem that mental health professionals face right now? So, I think, Dr. Mayurika, you can start first.
So, I believe there are many people who need help from a therapist, and there aren't that many therapists to deliver that kind of help. So, in India, the ratio is definitely lopsided. But still, if you move from a metropolitan city into the first tier, second tier, third tier cities, there are people who need help, but they are not able to seek out help. Yes, stigma in second tier cities could be a situation, but another constraint holding people back is the money that they have to put in to therapy. You know, the kind of money being charged from therapists or the paying capacity of the client who may need that kind of help. There is a difference between that. So that ends up becoming one of those challenges. I surmise a day very soon, hopefully, when mental health services can be covered under insurance. The day that happens, it will be far much more easier for people to go and seek out help. And again, if mental health services were a little more cheaper or a little more affordable and there was a little bit of standardization in pricing or something like that, it would be easier for people to go and seek out help on a continuous basis.
All right. So cost definitely being one of the challenges that people face. Ms. Suchita, would you like to add to this next?
Yeah, as Mayurika said, it is very true that people, even I face these challenges, because when clients come to us, or even if they ask us, ma'am, what are your charges? So if we tell us that, okay, we charge 1,000 rupees per session, so, they are little apprehensive, like 1,000 rupees is too much for us. So it becomes difficult for them to pay. So I think if the charges are minimal, because I have seen psychologists, many psychologists who are my friends, but they are charging much, much more than what we are charging. But still, I don't know how they are getting their clients, but still. And the second thing is, still in India, people are not coming forward. They are not having that much of awareness. So, first of all, we need to spread that awareness to them. And if that awareness is spread and the charges which we keep for them becomes minimal, so that would be easier for those people to come to us to take therapy, or to take a guidance, or to take a help from us, because nowadays we see there are many, many, many problems all over. Even small young children, young adults, they are having problems. They do come themselves, by themselves. They do not come with their parents, they do not come with their friends. But yes, somewhere there is some awareness. So these people, they search on Google that these are the psychologists, these are the counselors, therapists. So they go to them. So even for little problems like anxiety or stress, they do come to us. So if this becomes little more, aware to people, these little things are not just, small diseases. It can, if you don't take care of it, if you just ignore it, it can become a disorder. So if that is, spread, and if people come to know, yes, psychologists are not charging that much. So I think that would be easier for them and convenient for them to come to the therapist, which is very much required nowadays.
Miss Kitika, would you like to add to this?
So, mental health professionals, what challenges do they face? One, I think the recognition of psychologists as professionals. We have a huge area where the certification, where the qualifying criteria for psychologists are not very well defined in our country. We have a very small representation of clinical psychologists as the only title that is recognized in India for independent private practice. Also, we have rehabilitation psychologists as a formal title. Now, having trained in psychology, we know that psychologists as training skill set, knowledge set has variety of skills that they can offer to the society, to variety of segments that they can serve. It's not only for clinical disorders, it's not only for disability sector that we work for. So one of the endeavors I think we as a field need to be taking is of making the society and the policy holders, policy makers aware of what all we can do, how all we can support the society with the needs that they are grappling with, what all sectors we can be working in. If I see around me that we have a lot of psychologists who've completed very successfully their master's level training. They are out in the field, but because there is no recognition of what they are good with, they are unemployed. They do not have they cannot offer their services. And as we know, more and more people, when they start really offering their services, the cost of the services then automatically comes down. Right now, one, we have such a dearth of professionals who are trained, people who are investing their time and money and rigor, energy, passion into training themselves are not getting the work. So we need that streamlining right now. And I see that as the biggest challenge for talented, trained people not getting connected to clients. How do we do that? We need shift in policies.
Right. So I think through all three of your answers, one point that is definitely highlighted is that there is a need to make changes in policies, be it in terms of, bringing in insurance for mental health, or be it in terms of like changing the system in which the professionals are currently working. So yeah, I think these are some of the changes that can be brought. And since we were talking about this earlier, I would like to know all three of your opinions on this. When we talk about the stigma in mental health, Dr. Mayurika mentioned that right now she feels as if the stigma has come down to a certain level. So I would like to raise this question to all the panelists. And Ms. Geetika, if you could like start with what do you feel about this?
Okay, so stigma with emotions, stigma with struggles that people go through, emotional struggles that people go through, and stigma of not being able to figure out what life is all about, what are these difficulties are all about. So different stages of life are bringing about different challenges for people, right? Traditionally, the way we have been as a society, we've been a collective, family oriented, group oriented society where there were enough people to handhold each other. There were enough people to support each other. Now that we are transitioning towards nuclear setups where the support systems are dwindling, people are in away from their families, occupation, employment is taking people in all directions. Uh, the challenges that people go through as regular challenges and the havoc they create inside individuals on relationships is now kind of coming out in the open, that these are normal things that happen to all people. And when we address them, when we have people who can help us with these challenges, we can get out of it. We can sail through this. But the hand holding that's needed is important. Earlier, that hand holding was happening within family structures, within the social structures. So it was not out in the open. Now we say, well, we still need people to do that hand holding. Psychologists, by their profession, are trained for that hand holding. When emotions are creating havoc inside a person, when a person is not able to understand what to do with all this that's happening inside me, how to get on with life without making this the biggest deal of my life, how to survive this, how to be my best self, psychologists are trained to facilitate that journey. Now, the stigma that we say, because all this long, this was never talked about, this was not out in the open. People thought there's no work needed there. This just needs to be done by everybody on their own. So, whenever somebody would say, I can't do it, I'm not able to do it, there's so much anxiety showing up that I can't even get out of the house, people suddenly thought that was weird. This is unusual. Only some people are breaking down like that. Rest everybody, because nobody's talking about it, right? Rest everybody is just know how this needs to be done. So anybody who's being left out, who's singled out, seems there's something wrong with me, and everybody else thinks there's something wrong with them. Whereas now we know it's not the case. Everybody is going through it. Everybody needs that assistance. Who is offering that? And psychologists definitely are trained to do it in a objective, unbiased manner where they are not becoming part of the story, where they are not becoming part of that journey. They are merely facilitating and maintaining that distance from that journey where independence is cultured. Independence is just in the process where the person who's seeking then does not have to think that they were deficient and then somebody is going to take them through. No, we normalize it. We say this is part of life. We need those skills, and we are those people who are just teaching those skills, and then people are just on their own.
I think that's a really lovely thought. And especially in a setup like India, I feel like that distance, I would say, that people have now had in terms of the community that they were once part of, that I think definitely does come to play a role. So yeah, that is a really lovely perspective on that. Miss Suchita, would you like to add to this next?
Okay, so as Miss Geetika said about the stigma, yes, earlier it was like people, were, what do I say? They had that fear, or they had that, stigma, like for the society, for their families, like anybody having any problem, how to take that person to a therapist or a psychologist, maybe because they used to think that people will take it otherwise, that your relative or your child is not in a mental state, because earlier, we were calling them as these people are mad people. We used to call them pagal hain. Yeah. But nowadays, that term is changed. So, as she said, now people are moving ahead. They are moving, and so they are learning, and they are getting to know what all problems are coming up, and what all problems are these small problems like anxiety or stress. So for these little things, yes, if they come, they are coming to therapists or psychologists for small things. Even people who are in live-in relationship, they also find it very difficult. Sometimes they have these problems, so they do also come by themselves to psychologists. So this stigma is coming down slowly, gradually. It is coming down, and people are uh, becoming more aware, and they are becoming more open to, they don't feel that it's a problem, just a simple small problem with me, for which I have to go and consult a counselor or a therapist. Like in schools also, why do we have career counselors, or why do we have counselors in schools? There, children are not, scared or afraid to speak up or tell their problems, whatever they are facing, to the counselors who are there appointed in the school. So this is how, this is being removed, and the stigma will, come to a lower level, and people by themselves will go to therapists, psychologists, take their guidance, take their help, and it would be a great help for all the people who are having any type of problems they are facing.
Dr. Mayurika, would you like to add to this?
So as I said, that the stigma has definitely come down. I think one of the reasons for that is the ease of access has definitely been one thing that has helped the process. Now you can get a therapist service or talk to a psychologist over a phone call, over a video call. So you do not necessarily have to go reach a certain place, wait in the lobby, whereby other people notice, oh, so you here for a mental health issue, is it so? So there's no such thing anymore. Like, of course, people can go and take face-to-face sessions, and there are people who prefer that as well. But there are people who can just book a session with a therapist online and get access. That has helped a lot in the process. Another thing is that our society has become quite result oriented. So, what I see is there are many people who want to perform and want to perform quickly. They do not want to waste time going through stages of turmoil for a longer period of time. They do not want to waste time. For example, parents now realize that, okay, this is the year which is most important in my child's life, like the 12th standard. My child is going through a lot of anxiety. And right now, instead of blaming my child for having this anxiety or being tough on my child that why he or she is not able to cope up, the smartest thing would be why don't I just go and meet a therapist and get done with it? Every year, like, from I would say from November or December onwards, slowly, there is a rise in the number of referrals that come to us for 12th board examinations. Children going through um, stress or exam fear, anxiety, relationship issues, and they're afraid that this will impact a very important examination in their life. They don't want to waste their time figuring it out themselves. So they want to quickly access help. So that's how us becoming more result oriented, India turning into a more result oriented, more ambitious society has helped in popularizing the service of a therapist. I also see that people who've gone through therapy themselves are now openly going ahead and advertising or talking about the benefits of seeking therapy. People not just bring their children to therapy, but people bring their parents to therapy. You worked with me, why don't you please work with my parents as well? Do you work with adults as well? Do you work with senior citizens as well? My mother, she's too old. I don't know if you'll be able to, connect with her, but please give it a try. So they want their older parents who are, let's say, 60 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus to also come and seek therapy. And such geriatrics are also seeking therapy. They are also giving it a try, coming up and opening up and talking about their experiences, enjoying the experiences. So it's always enjoyable to talk to somebody about your own life. And anything that is enjoyable is likely to be repeated. So these are few of the things that has helped in popularizing, I feel, or bringing down the stigma. Something that needs to be done more is um, probably more popularizing by celebrities. You know, uh, because in India we follow celebrities diligently. With a lot of devout we follow them. So when a celebrity comes and talks about his or her mental health challenge, and not just says that, oh, I have had depression and it's been tough for me, but saying that is okay. I also am like you, and I can go through an experience like that, and it is normal to have that. But apart from that, going a step ahead and saying, I have also spoken to a therapist, I have also sought medication, and then my medication has reduced also or stopped also after I overcame my problem and I stopped taking therapy sessions. I was doing much better. A validation like this from celebrities would have a huge impact on our population. Then I think if this happens, then people from various cities, second tier, third tier, would be more likely to at least go and seek that one session with a therapist. At least that one session therapy would really help. These days, I also see courses on one session therapy, single session therapy, which is something that is much needed in India. If that can popularize more single session therapy, I think a lot of people from many cities would then be opening up and at least going and talking to a therapist for that one session that can give them a push that can catapult them ahead towards solution.
I think what has been highlighted by both your answer as well as Miss Suchita's answer is definitely that there is a lot more awareness now. And being from that younger generation, I feel like I do see that difference. And again, definitely as someone who also takes therapy, I do realize that even I've tried to convince my parents, you should also come with me to therapy. And I've not succeeded yet, but it's something I'm trying. So yeah, I definitely do feel that there is a change in that sense. So I think we can move on to the next question now. So I want to know from all of you, as mental health professionals, how often or how do you face instances of burnout or loss of interest in work, and how do you get out of it, and what do you do to motivate yourself? So I think we can start with Miss Suchita first.
Okay. So as you said, burnout or how we cope up with that. So it's not always because the profession which we are in. So as what I feel as my personal view that I don't feel that it's a burden or we feel burnout or we are tired of these all these sessions going on one after the other. But yes, sometimes it do happen that you get tired or burn out. So how we cope up or how we try to motivate ourselves. So motivate I take myself. So I sit down and think that why have I taken this profession? I am into this profession because I give you one example. Like when I was in school, I was having the subject psychology, and we were having some practicals, and we were taken to a mental hospital because though that time uh, it's been a long time when I was in school. So we were taken to the mental hospital to just observe people who were there admitted. So what we used to think that ye sare na pagal hain. These people are all mad. The way they were shouting and screaming, and when you were crossing near their barracks, where they were put in, so they were trying to hold you or catch you or trying to tell you to please, remove us from here. So that thing, went into my mind. It kept on, pressurizing me, making me think that why these people are having such problems and why are they behaving in such a way. So that thought in my mind now. This is the time, this such people, no matter I do it, free of cost or whatever, but it became a passion. Like I have to, seek, they, give them guidance and help these people and find out what is the real cause. Why is it that they are behaving in such a way? Find out the solutions, and study more and more about these people. So burnout and stress, it happens sometimes. But when I think of these, my school age and when I was in school, when those scenario comes in front of me, in front of my eyes, so that motivates me. No, Suchita, you cannot sit and try and keep moving and helping these people and keep guiding them whenever they need help. So don't just sit down, relax, and say that, no, I am tired today. And it's like, no, enough today for today. No. So you have to go on, move on, because what I think that this subject or this profession has become my passion. So this is what I think. And this motivates me.
That is really nice to hear. Dr. Mayurika, would you like to go next?
So, psychotherapy and training have been things that I really love to do. Uh, Making videos is something that I love to do. So, I have never really felt burnout. In fact, it takes me into a state of flow whereby I completely forget who else I am or what else are my issues. I've never really, there have been times like, probably my kid is not doing that well and I've left her with my mom. And I know my mom's there to take care of her. And whenever I'm in sessions, I do not think of her at all. There is nothing else going on in my mind, but just the person I am right now connecting with. And the profession is so rewarding because you see a person coming out of their problem. You see a person maturing, you see a person developing, being able to do more than what he or she was able to do, and being thankful, that gratitude. This experience is so rewarding immediately rewarding. In fact, I would say that it takes away the stress. I would say that, and it's great. It's for example, when I take training sessions and I'm listening to other therapists and giving them suggestions as like this is how you could improve or things like that. All of the process is just so rewarding. It is a process of becoming a better person yourself. I would definitely say that being a therapist has helped me be a more sorted person, resolve my issues faster, adjust to stress or challenges better, and overcome challenges quicker. So, all this has helped me be a better person. So, I don't know why would that be stressful. But yes, there have been times that let's say there have been too many engagements that I've done throughout the day, um, many days of 10 hours or 12 hours of work that ends up happening at times. But I think I have developed a way of coping up with it. Like I have a scheduled time for exercise, I have a scheduled time for meditation. I also encourage a lot of people to meditate with me. I take meditation sessions, I take online meditation sessions. So doing all of that together just helps to balance out everything. And yes, of course, if everything is good back home, that helps a lot. So if you want to do well professionally, it happens only when you get the base or the support of a great family. So when a great family is encouraging to you and says that, okay, you go ahead, we'll take care of the kid. Okay, you go ahead, we'll adjust with the cooking or the house being managed by someone else. So all of these small little things that a family does to support therapists helps them to support a society.
All right. Miss Geetika, would you like to add to this?
Right. And I think great thoughts, Suchita, Mayurika. So see, we as psychologists are a profession like anybody, any other profession. All professions go through phases of fatigue. All professionals need to take care of themselves. All professionals um, need to learn to balance the work and the other aspects of themselves, because all said and done, our work is one part of our identity. It's not the whole of us. So having that perspective, and I would say this, that a lot of skills that we are trained to do with other people, our clients, we use those with ourselves as well, because that's kind of the real um, uh, journey, that I cannot be training others to do things that I'm not using with myself. And this is where we as professionals, like if I take, say, for example, an accountant who's trained as an accountant, will have the accountancy knowledge seep into their life, right? They cannot be doing a messy job with their own accounts, but doing everything else good for the other people. So similarly, whatever we are doing in our client settings, we are doing it for ourselves. And I think as professionals, we are trained to watch out, predict, preempt that this is going to happen. And then what do I do to prevent this from happening? So that active awareness of what my thresholds are, what I am good at, what causes fatigue, what support system I am building around myself consciously. Who are the people I am keeping with me? Who are the people I'm distancing from? So those mechanisms are kind of happening for us as well. Talking about our struggles to other people, our well-wishers, fellow psychologists, fellow therapists, is what we do regularly, because this is again part of us that we've realized talking helps. It's not that we are saying others that you talk to others, but we are not doing that. So I think that awareness, self-awareness, is an ongoing process. Also, as a therapist, we've learned this the hard way, watching other people's journey, is that it's not a one contact, one-time thing that we go talk to somebody and it's done with. It's not about fixing ourselves once and for all and it's done. It's not about it. It's an ongoing journey. So the self-work that I hope all of us psychologists are doing on ourselves so that we can be better productive is also ongoing. And as psychologists, I think we are trained to do that. So self-care is not so explicitly talked about in our profession as it is not talked about in any other profession. But implicitly, we are in the job of self-care, right? So what we apply to ourselves becomes part of that journey as well.
I think that does make a lot of sense because the nature of the job is such that you are kind of sometimes forced to, I would say, like look into yourself and introspect what's going on. So yeah, I think that does make a lot of difference in that sense. So yeah, moving on, I would be asking one question each to all of you, and then I would ask the other two panelists to add on to that. So starting with, I would like to put forward my question to Dr. Mayurika. And I would like to ask you, since you do a lot of work in terms of awareness through your YouTube channel as well as your training programs, how big of a role does awareness on issues play in normalizing talk about mental health? And what has your experience been in this regard in terms of the challenges that you faced?
So, awareness helps. Continuously working towards awareness is something that is required. More and more therapists are coming online creating content. Okay. Um, One very important thing is that we talk about diverse problems when we are talking about mental health awareness. Because most of the time, I think I see a lot of people talking about depression and then again about depression and then again about depression, as if there is only one mental health challenge called depression and there is no other challenge, which is not true at all. Um, what happens is that because of which patients or clients are, are more willing to accept that they have depression than anything else. And if they have another mental health challenge, they want the diagnosis of depression only. Like you're allowed to say that I have depression, but you're not allowed to say that I have a narcissistic personality or I have a borderline personality disorder or bipolar disorder. You're not allowed to say any of that. I can have depression, but nothing else. So I think a lot of content needs to get created by many other therapists around the regular challenges that they notice. And also to indicate that there may not always be a clean diagnosis in every case because there are people who come with certain symptoms and some certain traits and sometimes mixture of symptoms and traits and there is not a clean diagnosis. So even in the absence of clean diagnosis, symptoms need to be talked about, and okay, so and so symptom is pathological. I feel more therapists need to write about symptoms of mental health, need to create videos and make content about symptoms of mental health so that the general public can be more aware that okay, so and so symptom is actually abnormal. Okay, spending too much can be abnormal and it's actually related to a mental health disorder. Or watching too much of pornography is actually abnormal and is possibly an indicator of a mental health disorder. So, talking about symptoms in psychology by everyone is something that will
Miss Geetika, Miss Suchita, would any of you like to add to this?
Mhm. So yeah, definitely. I think awareness is the key. More and more we talk about it, more and more we spread that this is happening. This it just becomes like normal. Human minds are such that whatever we are not familiar with, we distance ourselves from it and we think this is not us. This is not happening with us. This happens with them. And moment we say us and them, we are on a different planet, right? So more and more awareness we do, we normalize. We also, I think, disorders, we need to understand that biology plays a strong role in all aspects of us. Like, we have started talking about hypertension, we've started talking about diabetes, we've started talking about those issues. Even, as women, we now think about, breast cancer, and how examining ourselves at certain age regularly is part of us. And all this awareness is making people to take action. If we were not talking about it, people would not still think that it's happening, or it can happen to us. And when we say, or to our dear ones, more and more awareness gets created, more people get alert to the issues, more preventive work starts happening. More and more we stop waiting for the thresholds to be reached where disorders are happening or where people are breaking down. And again, not saying that disorders are something that will just happen at a certain stage. It can happen in anywhere. Some people will start at a threshold which was already crossing that level, and there's no preventive work that's possible. We need to do crisis intervention then, and then to say, then what is the best scenario possible? We strive for it, we look for it, we problem solve with it, right? So creating hope also, I think what earlier Mayurika said about more and celebrity people talking about their struggles, I think that creates stories of hope as well. We are not saying that we are doomed if we are struggling. If we have like if I have diabetes, I'm not doomed. There is more to me with life, right? So it's how I respond to that situation in my life, what I do about it in my life, what is my support system doing to get me on with it, what medicines I need to take to get on with it, what medical intervention I need to get on with it, what therapeutic interventions I need to get on with it, and to know that none of us are doing it by ourselves. We are part of an ecosystem, and we need to use all of the elements of that ecosystem. So more awareness, better we are.
Okay, so in that case, I would like to ask my next question, and my question is to Miss Geetika. So since you've been working a lot in the area of education, I would like to ask you that in particular, what is the need of the hour in the field of education slash academia slash school psychology, which needs a change?
So for me, the biggest awareness is that one size will not fit all, that all human beings, as they're developing, children, adolescents, youth, uh, would need something different. And we need to stay aware that though as school setups, as educational institutes, we are used to thinking of those as groups. It's a second grade, it's a third grade, it's a high school. So we think of them as groups, but there are individual differences prevailing within. Even when we are approaching academic learning in schools, not all learners learn the same way. School systems, society needs to know that flexibility is needed in responding to the individual needs of children. We need to be working continuously, systematically to build those systems. Whenever we realize that one or two children are too different and we cannot include them, that's generally seen as, that child's or that family's problem. Whereas if we really have to see that a lot other children who have not reached that threshold are also struggling. They are not reaching their best potentials, and because we are not creating noise about it, we are not aware that there are individual differences at milder level, we are not really creating those systems in schools. So I see that as a big need right now, where we need to start openly saying what are the individual differences we are seeing on daily basis, milder versions, because they start creating systems that we intervene, we talk. Also, talking about emotional health, emotional well being as part of academic learning. It's not something separately done only by the counselors. It's not separately to be done only as part of workshops. It's an ongoing part of development. And we need to start making it integral part of the curriculum rather than keeping it as standalone. So those, I think, are my interventions that I would like to see happen in school and education systems.
I think these are both very, very important points, especially from what I've seen. I've been hearing a lot about neurodiversity, but when we look at it at the ground level in schools, there is no actual provision to, help children with special needs or to incorporate them in a better way in the schooling system. So I don't think that, that is very important. Since Ms. Suchita just joined, so we are talking about the challenges that are in the area of school psychology and in the area of academia. And since Ms. Suchita, you have also worked in the area of education for many years, I would also like to hear from you what you think about this.
The challenges you mean to say.
Yeah, so the challenges in
Yeah,
the area of the schools and school psychology.
yes. So, like in school nowadays, the government has made it compulsory to give admission to children who are having special needs. So, each class we have 4 to 5 children having problems. It can be autism, ADHD, learning disability, or whatever. So, when we are dealing with such children and dealing such children with normal children, because they are merged with the class, it's not that they have different class for them. It's all like they sit together, they learn together. So, when they are sitting together, learning together, so at that time, sometimes it becomes really challenging how to, teach them separately and how to teach these other children separately. But then, uh, when we see that, yes, these children are, when we know that these children are having these difficulties, so there in school, we have special educators and their trainers who come and sit with these children. They help them out and they learn with other children. So it becomes easier for those children to learn together with those children and learn whatever other children are learning, like how to write, how to eat, what are the manners, how to sit on the table, how to eat, all different things, when they are together in the school. So sometimes it becomes a challenge, but otherwise, if you deal with them daily on daily basis, it is not a challenge, because when you think or see it is at a like a bigger scenario, it is like you are teaching normal children. It's a normal class and you are taking normal children class, because I have taught in such classes wherein I had 4 to 5 such children. They do, make sometimes noise or they disturb the class, but still, we as teachers, we have learned and we try to, make them understand, since this is a class and you have to sit and study together. So they do understand, they learn, and I think this is a very good step which government has taken, that such children should be given admission to in normal schools, not put them in separate schools, because there, if you put them these children separately in separate schools, then I don't think they will understand, or they will, try to cope up with whatever is going on in outside the society, because they are surrounded with such children who are having similar type of disorders or problems. So if they are with normal children, they will learn it in a better way. So this is what I have seen in school, and which is very good. I think government should make it compulsory in all the schools. Children sitting together, having classes with normal children.
Dr. Mayurika, would you like to add something to this?
So there is a time in a child's life when he or she goes through a lot of turmoil that is called adolescence. It is very natural, very normal, and there have been lots of fairy tales who that warn us that this is going to be a time of turmoil or a time of rebellion, whether it is the Red Riding Hood story, where she does something that she's not supposed to do, she talks to a stranger, or whether it is the story of Iron John, okay, where he gets in contact with a man and he should not get into contact with and takes risk. So this is a very so a lot of stories and fairy tales have told us that this is a very normal phase that one is going to go through. Okay. And earlier there was always an elder brother or an older cousin or an older sister or sister-in-law, somebody one could talk to and connect with, and that person could help a young child go through this transition. We don't we no longer have that kind of a robust system anymore. Therapists cannot be a complete uh, solution or a complete replacement for that kind of a mentor. I don't think therapists can be a replacement for that mentor that a child needs. A child needs that mentor. Parents can't be that mentor. But a therapist can make this transition easier. Okay. And teens or young people or children are any which way is going to talk among themselves. Any which way is going to go to each other for guidance. The problem happens is that all of them are of the same age. Okay, and how well can one person with the same kind of knowledge help another person with the same kind of challenges? So it becomes a challenge over there. So they have the same kind of knowledge base, and they're not able to. Children are not able to help themselves to the best of the capacity. If schools would have scheduled group intervention including a therapist or a psychologist, it would help facilitate children's ability to seek out help. It would help facilitate this transition from adolescence to adulthood. And I think then a lot of our challenges of later on people facing stigma, all of that would come down because they have already seen group interventions in school level. And when they go through group intervention in school level, they are more likely, whoever are the children in the group who seek help, they are more likely to go ahead and talk to the school psychologist then and then share about their problems. So scheduled group intervention is something that should help. Although I've not worked a lot in the area of learning disability, I don't have experience in that area, so I wouldn't be the best person to talk about those challenges. But this is my take on it.
All right.
Correct.
All right. So this is just the final question that I would like to put up. And I think we've had a very insightful discussion, like in the last hour or so, about the challenges that this field faces and how we can overcome them as well. So something that I would like to go back to that we talked in the beginning was the lack of professionals that we have in the field right now. And I think there is a need to encourage people to, join the field, come up and take up more. So, my last question to all of you would be that what would be a message or something that you would like to say to the people who are coming up in the field, and what advice would you give them? So, I think, Miss Kitika, you can start first.
Okay, so my advice is going to be keep learning. It's a huge learning curve, a steep learning curve. Um, People who enter the field enter with enthusiasm, but also sometimes they think it's kind of, one-time learning and then we are set. That doesn't happen in this profession. Self-improvement, self-awareness is part of this journey. What we are as individuals, what we become as individuals is integral to what we become as therapists. Also, keep connecting to other people, other therapists, other colleagues. Be part of an ecosystem. Connecting to professional organizations who are doing good trainings, uh, connecting to representatives in the field of psychology. So, me as a school psychologist, I am connecting to school psychology associations worldwide. Me as a behavior analyst, I am learning constantly about what's happening in behavior analysis. Me as a contextual behavioral scientist, I'm continuously learning. So know that this is a field that is dynamically developing, changing, ongoing, and we have to keep up with that learning and learning how to adapt what we are learning to our clients. That's a journey also. So connect to mentors in the field. Connect to mentors who can handhold you and who can tell you how to adapt, what to adapt. Remember, you will get stuck. Remember, you have to preempt. Remember, you need development cycle for yourself as a therapist. So, what you start at 25 and what you become at 50 are different people. So, be open to that evolution of you as a therapist as well. Keep watch of that journey.
All right. Miss Suchita, would you like to go next?
Yeah, as you said, that what message we should give to people. One thing what Miss Geetika said, you keep on learning because learning never ends. And there is no age for learning. You can learn till the time you are alive. So the more you learn, the more you enhance your knowledge. And in this field, I think the more knowledge you have, it is more benefit for you to treat people or to guide people or people who are coming with their problems, give them solutions. Next thing is being a professional. Like if you are in this profession, if you are coming in this profession as a counselor or a therapist or a psychologist, just don't think that this is a profession and you are going to gain something like monetary help, like financial, help from whatever profession you are in, like as a psychologist. Don't take it like that, that you are going to earn more and more, more and take it as a passion. Like, this is my passion, this is my profession, and I am here to help people who are in need. So don't take it the other way around. Think that you are a counselor and here you are to help people. So if you take it like that and keep learning and helping people, so that would be more helpful for others and for you as well. Because I myself, I visit rehabilitation center wherein I go for the counseling sessions. Uh, there I see, patients, rehabilitation centers. There are lot many people with all different disorders or different kinds of problems. They are addicts. They are having some psychological issues also. So there, people are not able to pay you. They are not able to afford that much. But still, if we go there and help them, guide them, so that, gives me a satisfaction. Yes, I am doing what I wanted to do and I am helping them. So don't take it like that. Keep learning and keep, enhancing your knowledge. The more you learn, the more you will be able to treat them, know about them, and help them. This is what I can say.
Dr. Mayurika, would you like to add to this?
Very quickly, um, new therapists need to remember three M's, or new psychologists. The three M's are minimalism. So train yourself to enjoy in less. Minimalism is freedom. Okay, lesser clothes, lesser things to own, lesser bags. The less, the better. There is a lot of research work and a book by Barry Schwartz on this. One can refer to that, how less is more. Lesser choices, the better it is. So, minimalism. Second is mindfulness. And mindfulness really helps helps to put everything in perspective, increases resilience of a person. Mindfulness helps you to bring out your best sagacious self and go through all challenges. And in fact, then it is no longer a challenge only. When you're more mindful, everything is dance and music. And the third M is mastery. So every psychologist must aim for more mastery because mastery in itself is such a rewarding experience. It helps you become a better person and you get the thrill or you get the satisfaction of being a better version of whoever you are. So the three M's are to be remembered: mindfulness, minimalism, and mastery.
Okay, so we had from Miss Geetika, keep learning. From Miss Suchita, we had keep the passion alive, and from Dr. Mayurika, the three M's: minimalism, mindfulness, and mastery. So, as someone who is up and coming in the field myself, I think I'll keep all of these close to me and try to follow them to the best of my abilities. So yeah, I think this discussion has been great, and we did get to explore a lot into the topic. And I think that there is definitely a sense of hope now that we talk about the stigma that is coming down, and we see that there are clear ways in which we can make mental health more accessible to people and create a world where there is a space where anyone can come up and seek help and just have that realization in themselves. So I think this has been a great discussion. And I would like to thank all three of our panelists for their time and for providing their wonderful perspectives. Yeah, I think that would be all for today. And once again, I would like to thank you all. And I also like to thank the people who have joined in to listen. And I hope they had as great as a time that I had in listening to all of you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining.